We have shown you how often Arkansas State Police and other local law enforcement use their vehicles to stop dangerous high-speed chases, pretty much like this one. It's called using pit maneuvers and tactical interventions. They're all going up, but so far the number of criminals trying to get away as well. Well, now the state says enough is enough.
The act of fleeing has skyrocketed over the last few years.
A stark warning from Arkansas State Police today.
The reckless action of these criminals resulted in 3 innocent civilian deaths. 9 more civilians, 14 troopers, and 83 suspects were injured. 3 suspects were killed. There is a dire need for consequences. We've increased penalties related to fleeing the last 2 general sessions and are in the process of doing that again this year. Despite these efforts, the state police have engaged in 553 pursuits in 2024 alone.
So they're cracking down on consequences in hopes of lowering that number.
There's been instances where those felony fleeing charges have been null-prossed, or they've been reduced, or they've been wrapped up in a bigger package. The commitment that we've asked for from our prosecutors is that those situations will be very few and far between.
We want to remind people that if you flee in a vehicle, it is a minimum Class A misdemeanor with 2 days in jail. If you exceed the speed limit, you can be charged with a Class D felony, which is up to 6 years in the penitentiary.
12th Judicial District Prosecuting Attorney Daniel Shue of Fort Smith says when serious injuries are involved or people's lives are threatened, the consequences are even worse.
It's horrific, and it does need to stop.
We will pursue you, we will stop you, and these men and women will prosecute you. Enough is enough.
Last year alone, state police saw more than 550 pursuits statewide compared to less than 300 in 2016. Also new tonight, Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin joining 37 other state attorney generals, signing a letter to Congress asking for harsher penalties for organized retail crime. It's been a major focus for Griffin since he took office. Letter says that organized retail crime has led to $121 billion lost, primarily from cargo theft, leading to supply chain disruptions nationwide.
Well, welcome to this forecast segment. I'm weather forecaster Joshua Weisel. It has been a breezy and warm day across the area today. Now, tonight's going to be a little bit chillier. We're going to start off tomorrow morning with lows in the 30s and 40s, but take a look at tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be in the 60s. Now, it's going to be a cooler day tomorrow than it was in the previous day. So if you were expecting more 70s, unfortunately, that's not the case. It's going to be a little bit chillier tomorrow, but overall, not too bad. The day planner for tomorrow morning, you will want a jacket. Like I said, some 30s and 40s across the area, but as we start to head into the afternoon, it's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. Not as warm as today, but hey, we'll take it over those temperatures we've seen the last couple of weeks. River Valley is going to feel a little bit warmer with those temperatures in the mid, maybe even some upper 60s across the area with some sunny skies. So it's going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow, but we do have a pattern change on the way coming up for early next week. I'll have more on that coming up.
All right, Joshua, thanks. A longtime circuit judge has decided to leave the bench. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer tells us about the legacy Judge Stacey Zimmerman wants to leave behind in Washington and Madison counties.
We just need to remember there are kids, and we need to care about them and do right by them.
Judge Stacey Zimmerman, known by most as Judge Z, says she has always had a passion for working with children.
I started out volunteering to represent children right out of law school in 1989, 1990, and I just fell in love with it.
She was a deputy prosecutor in Washington and Madison County Juvenile Court until 1998. She ran against the sitting juvenile judge.
I was big and pregnant, and I ran around to different political powers in the area, and they'd say, "Oh, honey, you're pregnant. You don't want to run for judge. You don't stay home."
She took the bench in 1999 and was one of 2 of the first women to be elected as circuit judges in Northwest Arkansas.
Nobody thought I could win, but the people that elected me were just regular people, law enforcement, teachers, parents.
34 years later, with both counties, she decided to retire.
My mom's getting older, and I'm blessed that she lives here, and that way I can I think I'm going to become her personal assistant.
She was always known for her tough but fair approach. She says she holds children and parents accountable.
The legacy I want to leave is that we have a strong juvenile judge that's firm, that gives consequences and follow-ups, and like I've always said, I'm an equal opportunity locker-upper.
But the children, she says, she'll miss the most.
I have the kids that are in foster care too, and a lot of them linger in foster care, and sometimes I'm the most consistent person in their lives.
In Washington County, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Governor Sanders, by the way, says Dawn Egan will take her place. She's worked as an attorney for Washington and Madison counties for the last 14 years, representing abused and neglected children. Before that, she was a juvenile prosecuting attorney for 6 years in Washington County. Well, new tonight, we now know when Jamie Waterman will face a judge for sentencing. The Missouri man accused of helping his wife, Amber Waterman, hide the body of Ashley Bush, who she killed. He will now face a judge in June. Nearly 2 years after Bush and her unborn baby's death, Amber Waterman pled guilty, was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Tonight, a Fort Smith teen now facing 40 years in prison for shooting and killing a 15-year-old. Connor Castillo was sentenced today in the murder of 15-year-old Bailey Smith. A 12-year-old was also injured in that shooting. It happened on North 36th Street, just north of Tillis Park in Fort Smith. Family and friends of Bailey said that he was killed while trying to break up a fight and protect his girlfriend. Despite originally pleading not guilty to the charges of murder and battery, Castillo changed his plea this morning. Crawford County man facing child sex crimes charges. The sheriff's office says they arrested Charles Seabolt yesterday for allegedly sexually assaulting a 1-year-old relative. Seabolt was already in the sexual offender registry stemming from another sexual assault case from 2003. He's been charged with sexual indecency with a child. He's being held on a $500,000 bond tonight. Tonight, massive layoffs across the federal government continue. This week, the White House sent out a memo that dramatically expands the president's efforts to scale back the federal workforce. Now those layoffs are hitting home. A former VA employee is speaking out after being terminated from his position. He says he was fired unfairly, despite what he calls years of dedicated service and outstanding performance reviews. Christopher Ford spent more than 13 years in federal service, including 9 in the Air Force. As an EEO specialist, he ensured fair treatment for VA employees, but early one morning he found out he had lost his job. His termination is part of a broader wave of federal layoffs, which he says could negatively impact veteran care.
If you don't think that when people are disgruntled, that doesn't impact the quality and care of the veteran, you're wrong. The fear that's going around is adversely impacting that climate. And it is not going to get any better anytime soon with these reduction in forces that are projected to come down the pipeline.
In separate statements, Senator John Boozman and Congressman Steve Womack emphasized their commitment to veterans' care amid all these changes at the Fayetteville VO. Senator Boozman says it's important for the administration to prioritize transparency and careful consideration in those changes. Congressman Womack added he'll work closely with Secretary Doug Collins to make sure there is no impact on delivering care, benefits, and services. Meanwhile, the Veterans Health Care System of the Ozarks says a smaller number of probationary staff were let go, but it insists that veteran services will remain unaffected. To read their full statements or hear more from the union president, you can go to our website at 5newsonline.com. As tensions exploded, a much-awaited Oval Office meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky quickly went off the rails today. The clash erupted as the president and vice president accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for American support. Erica Brown's here now with more from the Oval Office.
With the world watching, President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance publicly berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
During the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't know
God
that.
bless. You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're
doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
The conversation turned contentious as Zelensky questioned Vice President Vance about Russia honoring any deal.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong-
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. You should be thanking the president for
Have you
trying to
ever
bring an
been-
end to this
Have you
conflict.
ever-
The meeting unraveled in what appeared to be a real-time rupture between allies.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You
was
don't have
in
the
it.
cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
After the intense Oval Office meeting, the leaders left unsigned a rare earth minerals deal between the U.S. and Ukraine. Previously, President Trump said the agreement would bring Kyiv closer to ending the war, which Russia began just over 3 years ago. The president spoke to reporters as he was leaving the White House for the weekend.
You saw what I saw today. That was not a man that wanted to make peace. And I'm only interested if he wants to end the bloodshed. A planned press conference with the two leaders was canceled after the meeting, and Zelensky and Ukrainian officials were told to leave the White House. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
New tonight, detectives say actor Gene Hackman had likely died 9 days before his body was found inside his Santa Fe, New Mexico home. In a press conference this evening, Santa Fe County Sheriff Adam Mendoza announced initial autopsy findings for the 95-year-old Academy Award winner and his 65-year-old wife, Betsy. Both tested negative for carbon monoxide poisoning and neither showed signs of external trauma. We're also learning tonight that Hackman had a pacemaker.
An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025.
Investigators say they collected 2 cell phones from the couple's home. They're working now to gain access to the data to determine a timeline for those deaths.